Once upon a time, in the small and bustling village of Vasa, there lived a man named Ekpe and his wife Ima. Ekpe and Ima had been lovers since their teenage age, and they loved each other so much. Even though Ekpe and Ima came from families that didn't support their union, the two lovers managed to walk through all their storms until they married. Like every other young man in Vasa village, Ekpe was a hunter and Ima worked in a palm oil making factory. Of the two of them, Ekpe was very successful because he was a skilled hunter, and each time he sold his big catch at the market, he would make a lot of money. Ima didn't earn much money because there were many palm oil sellers, as it was a primary source of income in their village. About a year after Ima and Ekpe married, Ima got pregnant, and 9 months later, she gave birth to a boy whom they named Akpan. Since Ima and Ekpe had desperately been praying for a male child first, the couple were so happy when Akpan was born. As of that time, in Vasa village, if a couple's first child was not a boy, the villagers would look down on the woman and treat her differently because they all believed that every woman's first child should be a boy. Apart from Ima and Ekpe, who were very happy to have their son, their families were happy too because they wouldn't have to deal with the shame of having a female grandchild as the first child. Growing up, Akpan was treated like an egg. His parents and even his grandparents took good care of him and they showered him with love. As the first child, Akpan was well fed. His parents gave him the best clothes they could afford and they gave him whatever he asked for. In fact, it was almost like Akpan was a prince in his parents' little kingdom. 2 years after Akpan was born, Ima's family and her in-laws began to persuade her to get pregnant again so she could give birth to all her children at a very young age, and out of pressure, Ima listened to them. But then, something was wrong. No matter how hard Ima tried to get pregnant, she couldn't. She did everything she knew, visited midwives, drank herbs and did many other things, but nothing still worked out. When Ekpe found out that Ima was desperately trying to get pregnant again, he tried to talk her out of it.
Ima, do you want to kill yourself? Who will take care of our son and me if all these herbs you are drinking eventually kill you?
Ekpe yelled at Ima. That particular morning, Ekpe caught Ima gulping down a liter of concoctions and he was very mad. "My husband, where have you ever heard that herbs can kill people?" Ima asked.
"I haven't, but with the way you are taking yours, it might kill you,"
Ekpe said aggressively. "But you know why I take them. The herbalist told me to drink this one every morning on an empty stomach. That's why I'm taking it this early morning," Ima explained.
"I don't care who told you to drink them and why, but you need to slow down. For the past 1 year, you have taken different kinds of concoctions and it's not healthy. Why are you so desperate to get pregnant when we already have 1 child?"
Ekpe said. "Ekpe, it's already been 3 years since Akpan was born. Am I not supposed to be carrying your second child by now? You know what they say about women who have only 1 child in this village," Ima said.
"I don't care about what the villagers have to say. As far as we have 1 healthy child, then we are fine. There is no need for you to put yourself under so much pressure. A child will come when it's ready to come,"
Ekpe said. "But my husband, you know that the beauty of a man's family is when he has children surrounding his table. Remember when we were still teenagers? Our goal was to have 3 children," Ima said.
"Yes, I remember. But things are different now. Whether we have 4 children or we have 2 children, it doesn't change how I love you. Forget about what people will say and focus on the family you already have,"
Ekpe said. "Thank you, my husband. I have heard you," Ima said. That day, Even though Ekpe thought he had convinced Ima to slow down on her desperation to get pregnant, the truth was that Ima didn't change her mind. In fact, talking to Ekpe that morning even fueled her determination to get pregnant again. So whenever Ekpe was at home, she wouldn't take her concoctions. She would only take them when he was out of the house. About 6 months after Ekpe persuaded Ima to slow down, what Ima had been waiting for happened. She finally got pregnant. Upon discovering that she was pregnant, Ima was very excited. Without wasting time, she shared the good news with her husband and family members, and everyone was very excited to hear the news. Sadly, 2 months into her pregnancy, Ima developed some complications that made her very sick. As a result, she would bleed almost every day, and sometimes she would complain of horrible stomach pain. When the complications became a constant thing, out of fear for his wife's life, Ekpe begged Ima to get rid of the pregnancy.
Ekpe, I'm sorry, but I cannot do what you're asking me. Have you forgotten how long it took me to get pregnant? And you are telling me to remove it because of little complications?
Ima said,
My wife, I am afraid for your life. I assure you that you will get pregnant again. But first, you have to be alive and in good health for that to happen.
Ekpe said,
I know you are worried about me, but you don't need to be. I am actually fine. I spoke to one of the midwives some days ago, and she told me that some pregnancies are like this, so I have nothing to worry about.
Ima lied.
No, Ima, you are lying. My late aunt was also a midwife, and for the few years I spent helping her out, I never saw anything like this. Why are you so stubborn?
Ekpe said,
But you know that I would never abort my child. Everyone in this village already knows that I am pregnant, and I will never get rid of God's blessing.
Ima said,
Ima, listen to me. God expects you to be wise. If this is truly His blessing, then He will bless you again. Stop being so stubborn, please.
Ekpe begged.
I'm sorry, my husband, but I have made up my mind. I'm sure the bleeding will soon stop and the pain will eventually stop too.
Ima said,
I hope so, Ima. Because if it doesn't, I will report your stubbornness to your parents.
Ekpe said before walking out on her. Even while Ima was talking to Ekpe, she was in severe pain, but she managed to mask it until Ekpe left the house. Later that day, Ima went to meet one of the midwives to explain what was going on with her pregnancy. And as soon as she explained everything, the midwife told her to terminate the pregnancy.
But is there no other way? I waited too long to conceive this child.
Ima said in a teary voice.
Ima, I am like your mother, and I will not lie to you. This pregnancy is dangerous, and if you keep bleeding and feel pain the way you say you do, then it's not safe for you,
the midwife said.
I know my God will not fail me. I will carry my baby for 9 months and will deliver safely. I don't care what you or anyone says. I know I will give birth to a healthy baby,
Ima said. Since Ima had already lied to Ekpe about what the midwife said, she did not bother telling Ekpe about her conversation with the midwife. It wasn't like Ima desperately wanted a child like she claimed. The real reason she risked her health was because she couldn't stand what the villagers and Ekpe's family would say about her if she got rid of the pregnancy. Also, she wanted to brag about her complicated pregnancy after delivering her baby, so the villagers could look up to her as a strong woman. Sadly, none of that ever happened. When Ima's pregnancy was 4 months old, tragedy struck. Around 2 a.m. one morning, Ima was sleeping next to her husband when she began to groan in pain. The next thing, she tapped Ekpe and woke him up.
Ima, What is it?
Ekpe asked in panic as soon as he heard her groans. My stomach! It's killing me! Ima managed to say.
Is it the pain again?
Ekpe asked while trying to lift her, and Ima nodded.
Okay, should I go and call the midwife? I will run to her house now.
Ekpe said. No! Please, don't leave me! Ima said in a teary voice. By this time, the pain had gotten more severe, and Ima's eyes began to turn in her sockets.
Help me! Help me!
Ekpe began to scream when he realized that Ima's body was getting weaker in his arms.
Please, someone help me!
Ekpe yelled again. Luckily for Ekpe, one of his neighbors who owned a motorbike heard his cry for help, and he ran to Ekpe's room.
Please, we need to take her to the midwife. She's complaining of her stomach pain again. Please!
Ekpe begged his neighbor. Without any delay, his neighbor grabbed Ima and they slowly helped her to sit on the bike. Also, when some other neighbors heard the panic, they also rushed outside to see what was happening.
Ima, please stay with me.
Ekpe said in a teary voice as he often shook Ima while they were on their way to the midwife's house. Ekpe, I'm sorry. Ima said in a weak voice.
You don't need to be sorry. We will get you help.
Ekpe said.
Oh, thank God. We are already there.
Ekpe said while expecting Ima's response.
Ima, did you hear me? I said we are getting close to the midwife's house.
Ekpe said, but when Ima did not respond again, he began to shake her. Unfortunately, Ima had passed away in his arms, and her last words to him were the last he heard.
Ima! Please do not do this to me!
Ekpe screamed, and then he began to cry. Almost immediately, his neighbor drove into the midwife's compound and yelled for the midwife, but it was already too late because Ima was already gone.
Ekpe, I'm sorry there is nothing we can do. We lost your wife and the baby,
the midwife said after examining Ima's body.
Take heart, my friend.
Ekpe's neighbor who had taken him to the midwife's house tried to console him.
I want her, but she wouldn't listen. Now see what she has cost me.
Ekpe said in a teary voice.
Ekpe, you need to be a man and be strong for your son,
Ekpe's neighbor said.
How will I continue life without Ima? Where do I even start from?
Ekpe cried. When the day broke, Ekpe went to Ima's family to inform them that Ima had passed away that morning. He also informed his family, and everyone was very heartbroken. A few days after Ima died, Ekpe's family and her family organized a small burial for her, and her body was laid to rest. When Ima died, Akpa and her son was only 6 years old, and he didn't understand what it meant for someone to die and never return. Out of Ima's family and friends, the person who grieved her the most was Ekpe. After Ima's demise, Ekpe became a shadow of himself. He mourned her for months and even forgot that he had a son he was supposed to care for. As a result of Ima's early demise, Ekpe stopped hunting for months, and he turned to alcohol for solace. In fact, for almost 6 months, Akpan had to stay with his grandparents because his father was not in the right state of mind. Apart from being depressed and always remaining indoors, Ekpe cried every day. In the morning, he would cry as soon as he woke up, and at night, he would cry himself to sleep.
Ekpe, you cannot continue like this. You need to be strong for your son. Ima is gone forever, but you still have a part of her here with you.
Ekpe's uncle said. That day, Ekpe's uncle went to visit him, and when he saw the state that Ekpe was in, he became very concerned. Uncle, I have heard you. Thank you for coming, Ekpe said.
Ekpe, don't thank me yet, because I am not done talking with you. You need to get a hold of yourself. Look at you. You are a mess. Do you think your son would be happy to see you in this state?
Ekpe's uncle said.
Uncle, I am trying. I am really trying. It's not as easy as you think it is,
Ekpe said.
Ekpe, have you also forgotten that I lost my wife 5 years ago? Believe me, I know exactly what you are going through right now. But you need to be strong. You have a young son who needs you now more than ever. He needs his father and his friend. Don't make him lose both parents,
Ekpe's uncle said.
Thank you, Uncle. I have heard. I will change. I will go and visit Akpan tomorrow at my parents' house. It's been a while I saw him last,
Ekpe said. The following day, Ekpe went to his parents' house to see Akpan, and immediately he saw him, he broke into tears.
Ah, my son! How are you?
Ekpe asked while hugging Akpan tightly.
Daddy, I missed you,
Akpan said.
When am I coming home?
Akpan added.
Don't worry, my boy. You will come home soon,
Ekpe said. By just visiting his son, Ekpe realized how much he had missed him and how much he had been absent in his son's life. So after that day, he made up his mind to change, and he did. 2 weeks after Ekpe visited his son at his parents' house, Akpan returned back home. Upon returning back home, Ekpe did everything he could to care for Akpan and provide his needs. Aside from hunting, Ekpe also opened a small shop where he sold foodstuff. He did that because he knew that only one source of income would not be enough to take care of him and his son. As the years passed, Akpan grew up to be a very handsome and intelligent boy. He did well in his academics, and he was also very smart. Right from when he was younger, Akpan had always told his father that he wanted to be a businessman. Somehow, assisting his father in his foodstuff shop had rubbed off on Akpan, and he was fascinated on how money worked. On many occasions, Ekpe had tried to convince Akpan to either become a doctor, a lawyer, or even an engineer, but Akpan refused to listen. Since Ekpe was not educated, he had always dreamed of Akpan doing one of the professions he liked. But when Akpan applied for business management in the university, Ekpe gave up and supported his son. Being a very intelligent boy, Akpan did great at the university. Seeing how much his father had struggled to send him to the university, Akpan made sure that he studied very hard. Even though he had a few friends in school, Akpan did not let anyone distract him. He read his books almost every day, and he always aced in his tests and exams. After 4 years passed, Akpan graduated at the top of his class with a first-class degree. Unfortunately, some weeks after Akpan's graduation, Ekpe fell very sick, so Akpan had to do his NYSC in the same state so he could look after his father. Thankfully, after a few months of looking after his father, Ekpe recovered, but Akpan refused to let him return to Vasa village.
My son, thank you so much for looking after your old father. Now that I am fine, I would love to return to the village and continue with my hunting. Also, the shop has been closed for so long, and we might lose our customers,
Ekpe said.
No, Papa. I cannot let you return to the village now. The doctor said that you should rest and not do anything stressful. Please, just relax and enjoy yourself,
Akpan said.
But what will I do while I stay here with you? Also, you are a man and you need your space. I haven't seen any woman come to this house since I moved in here,
Ekpe said.
Papa, leave that aside. There is time for everything. When it's time to meet a woman, you will meet her. For now, we need to focus more on you getting enough rest,
Akpan said.
Okay, I have heard you. But once I'm strong enough, I will return to Vasa. I cannot stay here forever,
Ekpe said, knowing well that his father wouldn't get any rest if he returned to Vasa village. Akpan managed to keep his father with him until he completed his NYSC. Luckily for Akpan, less than 2 months after he finished serving, he got a good paying job, and that allowed him to move to a bigger and more decent apartment with his father. By this time, Ekpe already understood that Akpan did not want him to return to the village. Akpan ensured that he provided him with everything, and sometimes when Akpan would travel for work with his company, he would give his father more than enough money to take care of himself. Eventually, 2 years passed and Ekpe grew comfortable staying with Akpan. The only problem Ekpe had was that Akpan had never introduced a woman to him, and this made him very worried.
Akpan, my son, why is it that you have not talked about a woman or even brought one home before? Is it that you don't like women?
Ekpe asked one evening while he was having dinner with Akpan.
Papa, you're funny, oh.
Akpan laughed.
So because I have not talked about any woman, you now think that I don't love women?
Akpan said.
I'm just curious,
Ekpe said.
Don't worry, Papa. There is a girl I have been talking to. If she says yes to me, you will meet her soon,
Akpan said.
I hope she's a good girl,
Ekpe said.
Yes, she's a very good girl, and she's pretty too,
Akpan said.
Okay, I can't wait to meet her,
Ekpe said. A few weeks before Ekpe and Akpan had that conversation, Akpan had met a girl named Anita while on a business trip for the company he worked for. To Akpan, it was love at first sight, and he couldn't take his eyes off her immediately after he saw her. Luckily for Akpan, Anita noticed him too, and they got talking and exchanged numbers. From that day, Akpan spoke with Anita almost every day until they got pretty close. After 2 months of talking, Akpan finally asked Anita to be his girlfriend, and she said yes. But after Anita said yes, Akpan did not take her home to meet his father. They dated for 3 months first before he took Anita home to meet his father.
Papa, this is Anita, my girlfriend,
Akpan said as he introduced Anita to his father.
Welcome, my daughter. It is nice to see you. Akpan has told me so much about you,
Ekpe said with a broad smile as he hugged Anita.
It's great to see you too, Papa,
Anita said.
Please sit. Feel at home. You have come to your house,
Ekpe said.
Babe, what do I offer you?
Akpan asked Anita.
Anything is fine,
Anita said.
Akpan told me that you were coming, so I cooked something nice for you. I wanted to welcome you specially.
Ekpe said excitedly.
Papa, you didn't have to.
Anita blushed.
I had to. It's not every day I see a beautiful woman in this house,
Ekpe said.
Please, make yourself comfortable. I will be right back,
Ekpe said before disappearing to the kitchen. Almost immediately, Akpan returned from the kitchen with a pack of juice and a glass for Anita.
Your father is very warm. I can't believe he even cooked for me,
Anita whispered.
You see, you were worried for nothing. I told you he would like you,
Akpan said.
I'm so relieved. I was really worried,
Anita said.
You have not seen anything yet. My father will pamper you like an egg.
He has always wanted a daughter for so long, Akpan said. While Akpan and Anita were talking in low voices, Ekpe returned from the kitchen with a tray containing 3 plates of food.
Ah, Papa, don't worry. I will take it from here, Akpan said. Ah, no, do not worry. Today, I will take care of you, Ekpe said. Please, my daughter, come and eat before the food gets cold, Ekpe added. While the three of them were together, Ekpe asked Anita some questions about her family, where she came from, and some other personal questions. Sadly, he was not pleased with some of the things he heard. Later that evening, after Anita left, Ekpe called Akpan for a brief discussion. Papa, so tell me, what do you think about Anita? Akpan asked. She's a nice girl, but I'm a bit concerned about where she comes from, Ekpe said. What about it? Akpan asked. Girls from her village do not respect men, Akpan. Didn't you know that? Ekpe asked. Papa. We used to hear things like this a long time ago. We are in the 21st century. Things like that no longer happen. Akpan laughed. No, Akpan. I have seen many men who ended up miserably because they married a woman from Anita's village. It's just best that she marries someone from her village, Ekpe said. Come on, Papa. Even if what you are saying still happens, Anita is not like that. She's different from the other women. Akpan defended her. You might be right, but you may also be wrong. I will not choose a wife for you, but I hope you make the right decision. I can see that you really love Anita, but you have to be very careful, Ekpe said. I assure you, Papa, Anita is a good person. She's different from the rest of the women out there, Akpan said. Okay, if you say so, I believe you will make the right decision, Ekpe said. After that day, Anita would go to Akpan's house every weekend to cook, clean and wash his clothes. However, despite everything she did to paint a good picture of herself, Ekpe was still skeptical about her. He still believed that Anita was hiding something, but since he couldn't prove anything, he continued to watch her closely. About a year and some months after Akpan and Anita started dating, they got married. By this time, Akpan had been promoted at the company he worked for, and part of his new position required him to travel regularly. About a month after Anita moved into her matrimonial home, she began to complain a lot about Ekpe, her father-in-law. Babe, why don't you get Papa a house so he can live there? I'm not really comfortable with him living with us, Anita told Ekpe. I don't understand. But Papa is not doing anything to you. If there's anyone who can mind his business to the core, it's Papa. So you have nothing to worry about, Akpan said. I know, but we just got married and we should have some privacy. Sometimes, I just want to be free in my own house, but I can't, Anita explained. Anita, if I tell Papa to go back to the village, he will stress himself, and you know what that means. As it is, he is already struggling with high blood pressure, and I keep him here so I can closely monitor him. Just pretend Papa is not here, and everything will be fine, Akpan said. So, who will continue washing his clothes? Is it still me that will cook for him? Anita asked aggressively. But is anything wrong with that? It's not like you are cooking a special food for him. It's the same food everyone is eating, Akpan said, but Anita did not respond. 2 days after their conversation, Akpan traveled for a business trip as usual, leaving just his wife and his father at home. When Akpan traveled, Ekpe was not really sad because he knew he had someone at home to talk to. In fact, that same day, he tried to strike up a conversation with Anita, hoping that she would respond well, but he was shocked at the response he got. My daughter, what will we be eating this afternoon? Do you need any help in the kitchen? Ekpe asked. Listen, old man! If you don't have anything to do, please go and sleep! Anita said rudely. My daughter, Is it me you're talking to like that?
Ekpe asked.
Look at this man, oh! Are you deaf or what? Also, do not refer to me as your daughter. I am not your daughter and will never be. Not even in your wildest dreams.
Anita said.
Anita, it's me you are talking to. What has gotten into you?
Ekpe asked, but instead of answering, Anita sighed and walked out on him. That evening, when Anita made food, she only made a small portion for herself, thereby leaving Ekpe to starve. When Ekpe did not get any food in the afternoon, he expected that Anita would serve him dinner. But when it passed 10 p.m. and he didn't get anything, he was forced to go to the kitchen and make noodles for himself.
Hey! This man! What are you doing in my kitchen? Who gave you the right to enter my kitchen and cook?
Anita yelled at Ekpe.
My daughter. I was very hungry and I didn't want to wake you. That's why I came to make food for myself.
Ekpe explained.
Make food as how? Is this your house? If I don't teach you a lesson in this house, you will not learn boundaries,
Anita said.
Then she gave Ekpe a hard knock on his head. Anita, did you just knock your father?
Ekpe asked in shock.
Foolish man! You have not seen anything yet in this house. If you do not maintain your lane, you will see pepper,
Anita said.
I warned Akpan, but he did not listen.
Ekpe said in a teary voice.
Look, because I am in a good mood tonight, I will let you eat these noodles. But make sure you clean my kitchen after you are done. Also, from today until my husband returns, if you want to eat anything in this house, then you must work for it,
Anita said before leaving the kitchen. Because of what had happened, Ekpe lost his appetite and he went to bed in tears. The following morning, Ekpe was still in bed when he felt something wet on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw Anita standing beside his bed with a bowl of water.
What are you still doing in bed by this time? You stupid old man!
Anita growled.
But it's just 5 in the morning. Are we going somewhere?
Ekpe asked innocently.
It is you and your stupid son that is going somewhere!
Anita responded rudely.
Who do you think is going to sweep this house? Didn't I tell you yesterday that you need to walk before you eat?
Anita said.
My daughter. I don't understand you,
Ekpe said.
Why will you understand me? Look, I don't want to get angry this morning. Before I close my eyes and open it, you better get out of this bed and start sweeping. I have piled up some of my dirty clothes. Make sure you wash them after you finish sweeping,
Anita said.
My daughter, why are you doing all this? You know that I am not supposed to do anything stressful. The doctor instructed that I don't do anything stressful,
Ekpe said.
But the doctor did not instruct you not to eat. See, you can fool your son, but not me. I don't even know why I'm still talking to you,
Anita said before leaving.
What is the meaning of all this? If only Akpan had listened to me, none of this would have happened,
Ekpe soliloquized. That whole morning, Ekpe spent time cleaning the house. Then after he was done, he washed all of Anita's clothes, which included her underwears. Thankfully, by noon, he had finished all of his chores.
What are you doing here? Have you finished everything I told you to do?
Anita yelled when she saw Ekpe sitting in the living room.
Yes, my daughter. I have finished. I even dried all the clothes in the backyard. Did you make food? I am very hungry and my stomach is rumbling,
Ekpe said.
Are you stupid? Do I look like your maid? In fact, for asking me that question, You will not eat in this house until it's 6 p.m.
Anita said.
Anita, please. I am already very weak and might not make it till 6 p.m.
Ekpe begged.
Have you ever heard that hunger killed anyone?
Anita sighed and walked away. The most frustrating part was that after Akpan traveled, Anita seized her father-in-law's phone because she knew he would try to call Akpan and report everything to him. Sadly, Ekpe stayed until it was 6 p.m, expecting that Anita would give him good food. But to his greatest surprise, it was soaked garri. Knowing well that Anita was capable of taking the soaked garri from him, Ekpe quietly sipped the garri that evening. He didn't even get to eat anything else for dinner. Although he thought of sneaking into the kitchen at night to make food for himself, he realized that Anita had locked all the cupboards and the freezer. In the days that followed, Anita turned Ekpe into a maid in his son's house. She no longer did any chores or even cooked. Sometimes she would order Ekpe to cook for her, and he would. For those 2 long weeks, Ekpe went through so much stress and sleepless nights because of Anita. He was also very malnourished and barely had the strength to work or even walk. After 2 weeks, Akpan returned home, and when he saw his father, he was shocked at how much weight he had lost.
Papa, what happened to you? Were you sick? Why are you so lean?
Akpan asked in a concerned tone. But before Ekpe could even answer, Anita jumped into the conversation.
My husband, I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but Papa was very sick. In fact, if I had not taken care of him the way I did, he would have been leaner than this,
Anita said.
Anita, why would you keep something like this from me? You should have notified me the day Papa fell sick. I would have returned home,
Akpan said.
Why would you leave your work and return home when I'm here to look after Papa?
Anita said.
Papa, how are you feeling now? Are you getting any better?
Akpan asked.
Yes, I'm fine,
Ekpe said in a confused tone.
So, Papa, as I was saying before my husband returned, what would you like to eat this evening?
Anita said.
Why the sudden change, Anita? Is it because my stupid son is back? For 2 weeks, you turned me into your maid and starved me in this house. But suddenly, you are a good person?
Ekpe said.
What is Papa talking about?
Akpan asked.
Honestly, I don't know. I also wanted to tell you that ever since he fell sick, he has been saying strange things.
Anita lied.
Oh, so I'm not just foolish. I'm also mad?
Ekpe said.
Anita, what is my father talking about?
Akpan asked aggressively.
Papa, what is going on?
Akpan added.
Why don't you ask your wife?
Ekpe said.
Anita, for the last time, what is going on here?
Akpan asked, but Anita did not answer.
Since she is suddenly dumb, I will tell you everything that happened. Your wife made sure I cleaned this house every day, and for more than a week, I survived only on soaked garri.
Ekpe said.
Look at my hands. They are sore because I have been washing her clothes and underwears.
Ekpe added.
Anita! Please, tell me my father is making things up.
Akpan growled, but Anita did not answer.
I don't understand, Papa. There was enough food in this house. I also gave Anita some money before I left. How is it that you drank garri?
Akpan asked.
Akpan, I have said what I wanted to say. It will not be heard that I came between you and your wife. So on that note, I will be returning to the village tomorrow. I know I wasn't rich there, but I never drank garri to bed unless I wanted to. Ekpe said. Papa, please don't leave. I'm sure there is an explanation for everything. Akpan begged. Anita, if you want to remain in this house, you better open up your mouth and start talking. Akpan turned to Anita. My husband, please forgive me. I don't know what came over me. Anita fell to her knees and begged Akpan. Is it true that you forced my father to wash your clothes and your underwears? Akpan asked. I just wanted to punish him. You know that I told you I didn't want him here. That's why I made him do it. Anita cried. Anita! How could you be so wicked? Would you give your father your clothes and underwears to wash? Akpan said. You even had the effrontery to starve my own father. Akpan added. Babe, I'm sorry. Please, don't let this get in between us. I swear, it will never happen again. Anita begged. Of course, it will never happen again. You are very wicked. I told you that my father was the most important person in my life, and I expected you to accord him respect, but you treated him like a slave. Even if you didn't have any respect for my father, wouldn't you have considered that he's an elder? Akpan said. I swear, it will never happen again. I just wanted to scare him so he would leave. Please, babe, understand me. Anita begged. No, Anita. I cannot let you disrespect my father and act like nothing happened. Akpan said. Papa, please, I'm sorry. Please beg Akpan for me. It wasn't intentional. Anita said as she walked on her knees to Ekpe. Anita, I'm afraid, but you crossed the line. If you could disrespect me, your father-in-law, then you could do worse to your husband. Ekpe said. Babe, please, let's talk about this. I swear, it will never happen again. Anita cried. By this time, Anita's eyes had turned red from crying. Anita, call your parents and let them know that we are dissolving the marriage. I will contact a lawyer to process our divorce papers. Akpan said. Immediately Anita heard that, she jumped on the floor and screamed at the top of her voice. I have destroyed my marriage with my own hands! Anita cried. Meanwhile, I do not want to see you or any of your property in my house. Go inside and pack everything that belongs to you, because if I see them, I will throw them out, Akpan said. Baby, please, it has not gotten to that. I still love you. Please, don't leave me. People will laugh at me if you leave me, please. Anita begged Akpan. No, Anita. If you truly love me like you claim, then you would not have done what you did to my old father, Akpan said. What if I had traveled for a month? Would I have come home to meet my father's corpse? Akpan added. Papa, please, do something. Beg Akpan for me, please, Papa. Anita cried. I'm taking my father to the hospital to have him checked. I do not want to see you in my house by the time I return, Akpan said before leaving the house with his father. After they left, Anita sat on the floor and cried for hours. This was not how it was supposed to happen, Anita soliloquized. But my mother did the same thing all the time, and she got away with it. Why is my own different? She added. After crying until she was tired, Anita eventually packed some of her belongings and she left Akpan's house before he returned from the hospital. The reason she didn't pack everything was because she believed Akpan would still change his mind, but she was wrong. A few weeks after she left, they divorced and the two of them went their separate ways. Also, it took a very long time before Akpan remarried again, but he eventually did. As for Ekpe, he recovered from Anita's 2 weeks of wickedness. But after Akpan remarried, he returned to the village and only visited Akpan whenever he wanted to see his grandchildren. The end. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us your favorite part in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to follow our channel on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.